Do you know what your expenses are? How to create a budget? Or do you think it's just too hard to do or keep track of? The truth is, it's quite literally never been easier. In fact, I'm no accountant, but I just completely remade my budget from 2 years ago in under an hour. At multiple points in my life, my income seemed so small and expenditures way too high to the point that, at some times, it felt completely hopeless to be able to get back up to a place of stasis or stability. But despite all those times, I'm at a very stable point financially in my life. Granted, right now I am trying to scale up my finances in order to buy or build a house for myself, but for the last 2 years I've been in a pretty comfortable spot. So in this video, I'd like to go over how to make a budget and how to raise our income. So let's start with the most basic method to see what's going on behind our wallets and bank cards. First, we should start with a budget spreadsheet. The cool part about most of this stuff is it's going to be free and relatively easy to set up. If you have a YouTube account you're viewing this on, you should also have a Google account. And with one of those, you should be able to access Google Drive and Google Spreadsheets. I have my own template that, as embarrassing as it is to say, my mother gave me to use. I don't really know how to make the blank template publicly available off the top of my head, and I'm constantly going with other projects right now. But if I can find the time to set it up and link it down in the description for you guys down below, I will. No promises though. But if I don't, there should be lots of budget Google spreadsheet templates out there you can just search for and share over to your online drive. This spreadsheet is going to have lots of line items for you to enter your own data into. The most important two sections are going to be a space for your monthly take-home income. We aren't really interested in your gross because the information that's most pertinent is the money you have access to every month. And the second is a total monthly bills section. The bills section is going to be a total sum of a whole column of other cells that will just be a list of all your expenses. Well, since I'm not too familiar with my expenses, well, that's the first real problem you have. You need to know extensively every recurring expense that you have if you hope to be financially viable in any way. This is the classic inflow and outflow that businesses and financially minded people know all too well. Our goal is to have more money coming in that's going out. So from here, let's get a handle on what our expenses are. Whatever bank you're connected to now with your bank account has a 99% chance of having a free app that can show you all this. If it doesn't somehow, you can go get your bank statements in the mail or at your bank next time you go there and get it printed out to see what's coming out of your account and why. So the statement or app is in front of you now. I want you to look at least at the last 2 full months and write down every single payment you made there that reoccurred and write it down as a monthly value in your expenses column with a label and a number. We're going to be doing this every month. The only reason I want you to look at the last two is just to see what occurred from one month to the next. It's just the cleanest way to do it, in a short amount of time. For each of these expenses you write down in your spreadsheet, inflate it and round it to the next nice even number. This is our cushion. If we use inflated expense numbers in our budget spreadsheet, we will be more pleasantly surprised when we end up with more money than we thought at the end of the month. For example, my car payment is cheap, but it's $137, I think, a month, of course. I just rounded up to $150 a month my budget. Or if YouTube is like $14 a month or something, I just rounded up to 15. And anything you spend in cash, make your best educated guess and round it up a little bit too. Any food expenditures like groceries or eating out like restaurants or even toiletries, I lump into one food and groceries expense item on my spreadsheet. And don't forget your own car payment, credit card payments, loan payments, and gas expenses too. Now, with all your expenses lined up in one column, we need to have all of them be automatically added up into the sum total of monthly bills section. Then from there, we just subtract that monthly bills from the take-home monthly pay, which should create its own line item of leftover positive or negative value. That's how you can tell if you are living above or below your means. Congratulations, you created your first budget. Now, some of you, well, actually, I'd be willing to bet most of you, if you followed along to this point, have just muttered some swears when you saw that value, and that's okay. That's probably why you're here watching this video. And trust me, if you want me to be honest, up until 4 to 5 years ago, I was in that same exact boat, but pretty bad myself, for my entire financial life. So there's two ways to go about fixing this logically, right? We'll need to either increase our income section or decrease the expenditures section. About 5 years ago, I was able to move into my brother's house during the pandemic, and almost a year prior when the pandemic started, I got laid off and then spent a few months at another construction job. At a slightly higher pay rate, granted, but I was super unfulfilled and hated construction work all my life. Still kind of do, except when I get to run machines or just truck materials around all day. Shoveling a ditch isn't fun in any way, but it pays the bills when you need to. But I really liked cars a lot and was obsessed with paint, and I really wanted to learn how to make cars look better. Detailing seemed oversaturated as a market and didn't have that high of pay rates, and honestly, bodywork and paint weren't too far off at the time, but still better. So I took a leap of faith and applied at an auto body shop. They hired me at 15 an hour. Previously, my first boss had me training for my commercial driver's license and still followed through with helping me get my license despite me being laid off. But I worked at that auto body and paint place for about 9 months when my older brother sat me down and gave me a hard truth. I simply wasn't making enough money. If I wanted to get my own place someday in the future, I needed to start making more money now. And to make things worse, when I moved into my brother's house at that point, it put me almost an hour further away from that body place. This shop trained me and gave me a full understanding and groundwork of how to do it all: fix dents, weld, do filler work, paint, buffing. I was no master, but they taught me how to do it all, and it really helped me. My mentor there was there for me through some really hard times I'd gone through as well. I still owe that man everything, if I'm being honest. He taught me much more than just how to fix cars. The last thing I wanted to do was go in and ask my boss, who took a chance on me, for a raise. I'm a huge people pleaser, one of my many problems. But my brother was right. My budget was in the red despite my rent being a crazy good deal at the time. So right around the time my brother talked to me about that stuff, I had just welded up a patch panel on a quarter panel and did all the work start to finish and had it painted all good to go. I decided with that project done, it was the time I had to summon the courage to ask for a raise. My goal was to go from 15 an hour to 18 an hour. So I walked in and asked the boss man if he had a moment to talk. Yeah, sure, sit on down, he says. I sit down and I'm borderline shaking. Voice is slightly shaky, but I kept it together. I said, the Nissan's all set and ready to ship. I've now learned how to do most of everything with the basics of the job, and I've become competent enough to hold my own on most jobs. You have, he says. With this in mind, I believe I deserve a raise. The boss leans back in his chair and takes his eyes off me for a moment, and looks up at the ceiling for a quick glance. Then he looks back at me and says, well, okay. How much do you think you're worth? That question made the hair on my back of my neck stand up, but I knew I got this far and I couldn't back down now. I already had a number in mind. I'd like to make at least $18 an hour. He immediately cuts me off and says, oh, there's no way I can pay that. I can't pay you any more than I am right now. Most of me knew that I was going to be rejected there, but I cared a lot about what this man thought of me at the time. He wasn't my mentor or anything, but I still really liked and respected him. So I told him, okay, then I'm sorry I have to do this, but I already have another job offer, and I kind of have to take it now. So this is, sadly, my 2-week notice. Genuinely, thank you for all the help and opportunities you've given me. We stood up and shook hands. It was a little bitter in the moment, but that was temporary. We're still on good terms today, and he understood why. A good businessman understands the economy usually. All this to say, I was able to get a job driving a commercial dump truck for my brother's company he was working for at the time at $22 an hour. From that point on, I stayed out of the red for the majority of the time up to today, even in today, I should say, but even after moving and getting a place for myself. Much like a lot of you, I was in the negative in my budget real bad. And I took the opportunities I had and sacrificed a job I really liked with people for a job I didn't really care for, so that in the end I could have a better life and be more financially responsible. Other ways you could also increase your income is get a second job or start a side hustle using any talent or skills you may have, selling things you can make perhaps. There's lots of different ways, but that sounds like maybe a future video if you guys would be interested in that. If you'd like my thoughts or ideas on that, just let me know. We still have a second set of possibilities for improving this negative budget balance, and that's downscaling our expenses. I could make another video on this too, but I'll give you some ways to avoid having to do this that I feel are extremely important to mention as soon as possible, meaning in this video right now. Before any of this, ideally, but especially if you're already in the negative on your budget, do not, I repeat, do not spend more money on your credit card, finance a vehicle, or anything for that matter, or take out any loans. Do not, under any circumstances, if you're in the red on your budget, take out any more debt than you already have. Don't get me wrong, debt can be a great tool if used sparingly and in the correct ways, but not if you're already living above your means. The fastest thing that will sink your finances right now are debt that accrues interest, especially credit cards. The fastest way to lower your expenses is honestly paying off any debt you have as fast as you can, starting with the highest interest, I would say. Dave Ramsey, debt snowball kind of thing. The first month you experience being debt-free will be the best financial moment of your life. Frankly, as a car guy, I wish I never took out a loan for my car that I have now because I could have had a beater for a daily driver and made it work, but that's just a subject for a different time. Anyways, guys, that's all I've got for this video. For the next one, I'm thinking about focusing on reducing expenses on the budget list with some examples maybe. Worked on that in my own life recently, so I do have some new ideas for it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments or any questions you want to ask. Thank you so much for watching or listening, guys. I hope this can help you in some way. Leave a like and subscribe, the whole nine. Till the next one, boys. See ya.